Hey, what's up guys? I'm Dr. P and welcome back today for another video. Now in today's video, I want to go over the latest update that just went live in Fortnite version 7.01. A lot of very interesting things came along with it, so definitely drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around all the way until the end of the video to make sure you're fully updated. Shout out to these guys for using my support a creator code in the item shop, purchasing their battle pass, their skins, whatever. I really appreciate it. If you want to, my code is pineapplesYT, and if you tweet me a picture, you'll be entered for a chance to be featured for a shout out in the next video. Alright, so let's dive right into it. Version 7.01, a lot of things came into the game, but the main update, the absolute main overall point of the update, was the Infinity Blade. Now, if you take a look at the screen right now, you can see the iceberg has indeed, as predicted, melted down one phase. So this is the next phase. It did not melt nearly as much as I thought it would, but it melted a decent bit, revealing the courtyard, and you can go and claim the Infinity Blade. It takes a lot longer than I thought, right on the courtyard. It spawns here every single time, and it's interesting though. Everyone goes here, it's a bloodbath, and it takes so long to pick up that only the person who is last standing and the survivor of all of that outcome is going to be able to pick it up, at least most likely. Now, the sword itself brings a lot with it. It is the only item currently available in the new item tier. So of course you previously had legendary and epic as the highest two. Now the highest tier of an item that you can find is mythic. Really interesting. It's the only mythic item in the entire game, and there's only one that spawns in every single game at the same spot every time. The only way to get the sword and acquire it without actually claiming it from Polar Peak is to get it off of someone that is eliminated or downed if you are playing in a game mode where reviving is on, aka not solos. A knockdown is going to trigger them dropping the sword. Now, whenever you do pick up the sword, the user is immediately granted a bunch of benefits. You are immediately pretty quick, significantly faster than before. You have a 30% movement speed boost. It's pretty significant. Before I even read this and I picked the sword up, I knew I was moving faster. On top of that, you actually have double your max health. So as you can see in this gameplay, picking up the sword puts me at 200 shield and 200 health, which I think is fair because of course this sword is a melee weapon and you are putting yourself at a disadvantage by giving up your range. But even so, this thing has a lot more range than you would think of when you think of someone wielding a sword. One of the attacks is a simple spin around. It reminds me a lot of Tryndamere from League of Legends. Let me know if you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. And also his secondary ability is kind of like a giant leap, which kind of incidentally reminds me of Garen from League of Legends. So this sword is reminding me directly of two separate League of Legends champions, which I think is interesting. Of course, a lot of you aren't going to know what that is, but of course, if you do, let me know, okay? Let me know I'm not crazy. When you're wielding the sword and you take damage, you're going to have regeneration of your health over time up to max health at a rate of 1 HP per second, which is pretty good. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. We'll just wait and see. Of course, you are giving up a lot to be able to use the sword. We'll see if this regeneration is warranted. Here's something that I really like about the sword. The second you kill an enemy with it, you're immediately going to get 50 health back instantly, which I think is awesome. It encourages aggressive play with the sword. A lot of people with the sword, you might imagine, would want to camp, but if it's encouraging aggressive play and encouraging, going to get kills, then yeah, reward that person with 50 health. Because most likely they're going to be taking a lot of shots anyway, rushing someone with a sword, and when they, in all likelihood, have a gun. The first player to pull the Infinity Blade from its pedestal will instantly be granted full health and full shield, which I think is awesome. If you're picking up that sword, you most likely won a lot of fights. You're probably going to be weak and low on supplies. You should be rewarded with that max health gain. If a player picks up the Infinity Blade, all other inventory items aside from building materials will be dropped. It's a big commitment to pick up the sword, because if you do, you're putting everything else you worked for and throwing it down the drain. The damage of this thing is doing 75% per swing, so it's pretty powerful. It makes this pretty effective. It makes it a two-shot kill, most likely, maybe even a one-shot kill, depending on how weak the person is. But I think the sword does just about the right amount of damage. If it were 50 per hit, I'd say that's really weak, but 75 with all of these attributes that you get with increased movement speed, health regeneration, increased max health, all that sort of stuff makes it worth it to pick up the sword. Now, I don't know if I'd, suggest going to Polar Peak and landing there every time and fighting it out trying to get the sword, because I feel like it's just such a hot spot. So many people are going trying to get the sword right now that it's probably not going to work out for you. But if you randomly happen to stumble upon the sword, you're going to have a decision to make. If you have really good loot, maybe you're going to want to hang on to it. But if you don't have any good loot, you might as well just say YOLO. Let's just roll with the sword and see what we can do. Overall, I think the sword was pretty well done. It's good for someone to pick up, but it's not overly overpowered. I think it's pretty solid. I can't complain too much about it. Definitely, though, in the comment section down below, let me know what you think about the sword. Have you used it yet? If you have, what do you think? I'm super curious, as always, to hear what you have to think. Another notable update in the 7.01 patch that we got this morning is to the X4 Stormwing, which, of course, is the plane that we have here in Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, when a plane is shot down, the driver and each and every passenger of that plane will now take 25 damage from the explosion, which, in my opinion, is, a lot weaker than I thought they were going to go on this. I figured they were going to make people take between 50 to 75 damage, possibly even 100 on the explosion. 25 damage is not going to discourage people from staying up in the sky the entire game and just being a nuisance. The planes, that's the number one complaint with people. They're fun. I genuinely do like the planes, and I want them to work it out and balance it, but I feel like only making people take 25 damage from the plane's explosion when they can simply glide down right after, that's not that big of a problem, at least in my opinion, and it will not deter that many people, that's for sure. If you take a look at the gameplay right here, literally there are so many planes in the sky. People are taking full advantage of the planes because there isn't really a downside. Only 25 damage. I expect that to go up in the future. I figure, and I'm pretty positive they're going to change that and up that or nerf the plane in some other way additionally in the coming weeks, maybe even days. I love the plane, like I said, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it just needs to get nerfed a little bit more. Of course, as always, feel free to leave your thoughts on the plane in the comment section down below. Do you think it's been nerfed enough? Do you think it's been nerfed, too much? Do you think it still needs nerfing? There are a lot of different ways you could look at this from, and I'm curious to see what the majority of you guys have to say. Like I said in the very beginning of this video, I was not expecting the iceberg to start melting within 5 days of Season 7 starting. We're like 6 days in at this point, and the iceberg has already gone through one stage of melting, and it makes me wonder, how often is this iceberg going to melt? Is it every single week? Is it, a couple times every month? I'm not sure, and obviously we'll find out. Maybe this simple first phase is just irregular and it's not going to be as frequent as we think just based off the small sample size. There's definitely a lot going on in the world of Fortnite, and you can be sure that I'll keep you updated each and every time something happens in the game, so make sure to be subscribed with notifications turned on. I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like as well, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, comment down below the word Infinity Blade. That would be lit. That would let me know that you guys actually stuck it through all the way to the end, and I know who the real ones are. Shout out to you guys. Much appreciated, homies. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for sticking around, and until then, take it easy, and peace out, guys.